You may have heard of this game because it was announced a few years ago, but if you haven't, Boundary is a multiplayer tactical space-based shooter game. The main idea of it is to pitch astronauts fighting against each other with guns in space settings. The game is a pretty unique take on the first-person shooter genre, and it's definitely got a selling point to it. But does it live up to that selling point? Currently, Boundary is in a demo phase, so the full game isn't out yet. However, if you've got Steam, you can download it after you finish this video, try it, and let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe with notifications set to all so you never miss out on a single upload. And without further ado, let's get into the review. I've seen clips on TikTok before showcasing the weapon sounds from Boundary, and I honestly thought that it was a pretty interesting spin on the shooter genre. We've certainly had shooter games in space plenty of times, but none have really gone as far as to make you an astronaut. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare might be a close second, but it's not really the same, to be honest. At first glance, Boundary actually looks pretty cool. Visually at least, it's got some nice graphics to it. Ambience-wise, you definitely feel like you're about to deploy to space to fight a bunch of other astronauts too. One of the most interesting and differentiated aspects about Boundary is the fact that it emphasizes zero-gravity combat. This means that you're essentially floating as you face off against the enemy team. There are currently 3 operators that you can use in the game. More do seem to exist, but they're likely not for the demo version. Additionally, there are different sets of weapons that you can use, like ARs, SMGs, sniper rifles, pistols, etc. I found that the game seems to be favored currently more towards the sniper rifles. They are a lot easier to get more kills with. However, I also found that the SMGs are fast and easy to use as well, though you'll have to reload with them more often, obviously because of the higher fire rate. The animations are actually pretty good. The reloads are the most obvious thing to look out for. They look really nice, and the sounds are pretty interesting because of the sort of vacuum simulated due to the space setting. I would say that they're pretty satisfying and well done. The shooting itself is good as well. It works the same way you'd think it does. You aim, you fire. There's not really much to say here. I think that the firing is fine, the shooting mechanics are nice, overall pretty standard, but it's cool because of the space twist that it has. Now look, I think Boundary is a brilliant concept. To have an FPS game set in outer space where astronauts fight is unique and definitely something different for this genre. I do think that Boundary has a high chance of succeeding, but in my opinion, there are some things that do need improvement. The guns currently need some major balancing. Some guns seem to do no damage despite you basically having to mag dump your enemy. Other guns seem to do way too much damage and at super far distances. I can achieve long distance kills with an SMG at a much faster rate than an AR, which is not what I would expect. Additionally, snipers are given much more advantage. They're more efficient and easier to get kills with. I don't find a problem that the snipers are fun to use in the game, but it throws off your ability to engage much with the other guns. The shotgun is also okay, but the main issue I have with it is the fact that you have to be at quite a close range for the shotgun to do any proper damage, and you'll have probably been killed by then already, so you don't really get to use it much. But the sniper rifles are really annoying to contend with. You almost basically can't play a match and get any kills without being beamed from across the universe several times in a row by a sniper. It is definitely a problem that the devs need to address if they want this game to have good gameplay balance. I did take a look at the subreddit and I did see that it looks like they're working on nerfing the sniper rifles, which would be amazing for this game. The maps are nice and they're interesting, but the design does make the gameplay slightly hindered. By having such open spaces with the overpowered snipers and a pretty low time to kill, it makes getting kills complicated and getting sniped frequently very easy. I also think there needs to be more dynamic movement to the maps. They're quite static and stagnant, and I think things should be moving around more. I just think there needs to be a bit more life to the maps, just for, ambience sake. Additionally, I noticed there were some issues with frame rates and connectivity. Despite having pretty good internet connection in most online games, it was just not very good in Boundary. It was a lot, my ping was a lot higher than I was used to. It was definitely irritating, though I do think this is something that can probably be fixed relatively soon. Plus, the spawns do desperately need to be fixed. It's very easy to spawn camp in this game, and it's not fun to be on the receiving end of spawn camping at all. The time to kill in this game does seem very off sometimes. I mean, I can fire a ton of bullets at an enemy and get almost no hits, and then the enemy will one-shot me or kill me within a split second. Plus, once I respawn, I'm often hit by a camper quite frequently, which is pretty strange considering the fact that you're supposed to have some level of immunity once you spawn in, but that sometimes does seem to be broken. Now, I know that this game is set in space, and I know that you're not supposed to hear anything the way that you would on Earth, duh, but it is pretty quiet, and there is kind of like a weird humming sound in the background, and that can get a little boring pretty fast. Sound design is really impactful in video games, and I just think that the silence does sometimes kind of annoy me a little. There's nothing really engaging in the background, but it is set in space, so I kind of did like overlook this. That's why I'm kind of pushing it here to the end of my criticism, to be honest. Because still, I mean, the gameplay is actually fun. I think that of the first-person shooters that I've played recently, this one has caught my attention the most. It feels like what Call of Duty Infinite Warfare should have been. Boundary has guns modified for space, which is very cool. The gun designs are nice, and they don't even need camos to look cool. The FPS genre is quite saturated. Most games in the genre are pretty much the same style and the same idea. Rarely do we explore an interesting, setting in a different fashion like this. Do I think this will take off and be the future of the first-person shooter genre? To be brutally honest, no. I think this is a cool twist, and I think this is a unique take, but I don't see it taking over the way FPS games are made for the future. To be fair, as long as Call of Duty is really the most dominant FPS game out there, most FPS games will be modeled more off of that. Also, most people who play FPS seem to prefer that boots on the ground gameplay style. I mean, sure, there's like military sci-fi games like Halo, but I think that when you analyze all of the FPS games ever made, the vast majority of them just seem to be standard run-of-the-mill, more towards the realism side of things. I think right now Boundary's doing pretty good. I think with just some more improvements, it will definitely be worth playing continuously. In its current state, however, I think it does need some work. The gunplay definitely needs to be balanced better, the maps could be reworked just a little bit. I really do like this game though, and I found it to be very interesting and engaging to play a few matches of. If you enjoy FPS games, you will definitely have a good time with this one. Also, if you're confused on how to use any of the stuff in the game, you should probably check out the tutorial. Unless you're like me, you just kind of wing it and figure out what buttons do as you go. I almost never go through tutorials in games. This may or may not be the best idea, but I mean, it gets the job done at the end of the day, doesn't it? And with that being said, thank you all for tuning into DZSH Gaming. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe with notifications set to all so you never miss out on another upload. Comment below your thoughts on Boundary. Don't forget to check out our website for gaming news, entertainment, and more. The link is in the description below alongside all of our other important links.